Hey guys, what's up? It's Alexis Kamalani here. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. And today we're talking about when to seek help for anxiety. I saw that a lot of you guys really liked my last video about, discussing my anxiety and how I cope with it. I really did want to start to introduce a mental health Monday kind of thing. I don't know how it would go, how consistent it would be, or if it would be every single Monday. So let me know down in the comments what you think about that. I also just really like helping others out and dealing with anxiety or any sort of mental health issue. It's really hard, especially if you're in it alone. So I just want to be able to branch myself out there and let you guys know I am always open to talk to. So message me whenever you want to. I have my social media all linked down below in the description. I also wanted to just make a disclaimer that I am not a medical professional. I'm not a doctor. This is all just personal experience that I've been through that kind of led me to my way to go and, talk to my doctor. Let's go ahead and roll straight into the video. The first kind of sign that I was experiencing when I thought something was different in me and I didn't know what it was that I had a lack of sleep, and it was really hard for me to also go to sleep. I started noticing this as one of my first signs because all throughout my life, like elementary, middle, and then high school, I was fine going to sleep. I could literally go to sleep at any other day. I would take naps. It was never difficult for me to go to sleep. And there are many times, like if I did fall asleep when I wanted to fall asleep, I would wake up in the middle of the night. I would just wake up and feel very weird. It was just this odd feeling of like something was against me. Like it wasn't a panic attack yet. All that would just add up to basically me just being exhausted the next day, and then continually having to take a nap and then not being able to nap, and the cycle just continuing to go on. And that was just the first sign. At first I thought I had insomnia or something, and I was telling my friends about it, and then they gave me, one of my friends gave me melatonin, and she was like, just try taking this and it'll help you fall asleep, and nothing. That didn't work. This next one is very obvious, and I don't know how I didn't figure this out, but that was that I had panic attacks more frequently. So along with not being able to sleep, I was panicking more often, and it was just that shortness of breath out of nowhere, and I couldn't breathe, and there were many times that I felt like I was dying. All these changes were happening, and I just related them all to being stressed out. And so I was like, yeah, maybe I'm just really stressed out. That's why I'm not sleeping, and I'm panicking and having all these weird things going on. So that's probably it. That was my next sign, was that I was having more frequent panic attacks. I would have a panic attack every day. And I just was like, maybe I just need to figure out how to rearrange my schedule to make sure I'm less stressed out, and left it at that. Which was super irresponsible, but that's what it was. Another sign that I noticed was that I always had to do things a certain way, or if I asked someone to do something, it was never correct. I don't know if that's an actual sign of anxiety, but that's something that I noticed too. Anytime my boyfriend would do something and I would ask him to do it, it was just not correct, and then I would have to go over and redo it how I like it. And I don't know if that is a sign of anxiety, but again, this is just my personal experience. I mean, that's one that's pretty self-explanatory. I still struggle with this a lot. Anytime I ask Jesse to wash the dishes or clean or do something, I'm like, this isn't clean, or this isn't how it's supposed to be, and I still struggle with accepting that people do things a different way than I do, and that's completely okay. This next one is a huge one that I do all the time. I realize that anxiety is such a mind game. A lot of the time it's literally just in my head. This next one that I started noticing was that I was always second guessing and overthinking everything. I used to be very confident, went with my gut, and whatever my gut told me is what I was gonna do. I was always very free-spirited. In my high school days, I was able to just do whatever. I didn't need a plan, I didn't need anything. I would just do it on a whim, and that was fine. There was a time where I just became, I guess, more of a homebody. But there was just a time I would second guess and overthink any option that came to me, whether that was school, my job, my friends, my relationship, just everything. I overthought about it. All these crazy thoughts that really weren't happening, they were in my head, so I felt like it was real. That was a big one that came out of nowhere. All these signs that I was seeing, I'm trying to put myself back in that time of like my thought process as to why I thought I was completely fine. But second guessing and overthinking was another one that I saw come up when it was like in the process of me finding out that I have anxiety. This next one, which is something that I never had an issue with, but my mom has this issue too. Sorry, Mom. I just thought it like ran in the family, like, oh, this is fine. But I don't think this can run in the family. I have no clue. I had a lot of stomach issues, so I did find out that like I was diagnosed with something else because of my stomach issues, but then I'm also thinking, like looking back at it now and even how I am now, I still have stomach issues and there's nothing we can really do about it. Stomach issues was a minor one that I saw. I didn't know if it really went in with having anxiety. If I go off diet, then my stomach hates me. It also has to do with my anxiety. I realized, I don't know why, it's just a thing. It's just a thing, it just happens. That's another sign is I started having really bad stomach issues, and that went on. I remember I was at the doctor's office every single week. I was literally at the doctor's office for a good like 3-month period of like, my stomach, something is wrong. I don't know what's wrong. You need to tell me. And they're like, we haven't seen anything. Like I got an ultrasound. I did a CAT scan. I even went on like a certain medication to help with like bowel movement. Like it was crazy, and my doctors found nothing. Like there was nothing there. I guess at that point I should have been like, maybe I should look up like symptoms of anxiety. I don't know. But yeah, that was one of them. This last one is a huge one, and this is when I realized that I needed to go to the doctor, and this is when I was becoming irritated with everything. Like every single thing set me off. Something would happen and it would trigger me, and I would go into like a rage, and I would be irritated and I would be pissed, and I didn't know what was triggering it. Jesse and my older brother were two people that I was like talking to about like what I'm feeling and all that stuff. They did definitely both push me to go see a doctor and find out kind of what's going on. At this point in time, it was almost, I think, a year of Jesse and I being together. I realized that like we kept fighting and I didn't know why. I always felt way more irritated all the time over things he did, and then even things around the house that like my little brother would do, my parents would do. If my dogs would bark too much, like I would get super irritated, and I was never like that. At that point, I was always irritated, and I mean, I would always be like, maybe it's because I'm not sleeping, like maybe it's because I'm stressed out, like da 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 da. But that's also the time when I started to research like what's wrong with me, and that's something that I found. I was like, oh, it could be like one of these like 6 things. I don't know. This is something that like I feel like I am. And I was taking a bunch of quizzes, random quizzes online to see like what someone else thought I had. Like it was just too much. And all in all, I should have gone to the doctor after the first few signs, or I should have done something more out of the first few signs. This is why I made this video, is so if you guys are questioning if you have anxiety or if you need mental health help, that you can kind of see the things that I experienced, so you know if you should be talking to someone. I'm also gonna leave in the description below, I do have the resources I used to kind of like self-diagnose before I went into the doctor, so I knew what to say. So I'll leave the links down below. They're just like, I'll put them up on the screen actually right now too. But they look like this, and you just kind of like check mark them, or I think it's a number 1 of like 1 to 5 or like 1 to 10, something like that. I found those very useful, and that's like one of the things that I did was using those like little handout things that I found through Google, and then also like taking mental health quizzes. And then I finally made myself an appointment. I spent at least a year experiencing these signs and did nothing about it, and I should have done something way sooner. It's been almost 3 years since I've been diagnosed with anxiety, and just gaining all these tools and resources and knowing that like this is like the label I have, and now I'm gonna figure out how to be better about it and kind of rework myself. Anxiety is a huge journey. It's never ending, but you are not alone at all. And there are really good days, there are some bad days, but I really try to look at things on a positive note and get ahead of how I'm feeling. You guys can watch my other anxiety video on how I cope with it, because I go into further detail of steps I take to make sure that I am okay mentally without taking medication. I hope you liked having a mental health Monday talk with me. And if you guys have any suggestions on other topics you want me to talk about, please let me know. Please be sure to like this video, subscribe down below, and tune in on Friday when I will see you guys again. Bye.